Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at the high-grade Murasame Kai, once again another kit from that Gundam Seed movie, Gundam Seed Freedom. So far I am super impressed by this kit. This kit is a little bit on the simple side, but it is simple done right. It builds up so perfectly, the kit you get in the end is absolutely gorgeous, and it is rock solid as well. It just really is the whole package for a simple yet beautiful high-grade kit. Anyway, as usual, this kit right here was provided by those awesome people over at Articulation Japan, so there will be a link in the description. Now let's get right into the review. So this right here is what the high-grade Murasame Kai looks like right out of box, but winding back a little bit towards the build. Now I'm only going to gloss over this a little bit because there is a full video of it, so if you want to see the full build of this, you can go check that out. Again, a simple build, but very, very nice. It's got the Seed action system in it, so all those nice joints we've seen throughout the line so far. We do have fixed hips though, and the transformation for this isn't actually inside of the bot itself. We do have a little rack for parts forming the parts onto, which we'll take a little bit of a look at later. But besides what we would have seen that I did in that full build video, which includes snipping off the safety flags up on the V-fin, all I've done since is a little bit of panel lining using Bandai, or should I say GSI Craos's Pour style panel liners. That is it, just into the lines, wipe off those little dots that you get from touching that plastic, but that is it. Otherwise, besides that, this is exactly what you get out of box. So now jumping into the aesthetics of the high-grade Murasame Kai, and the first thing I thought when I, got this put together and slapped down on the desk is this is so anime, and in the perfect possible way, and honestly a really high contrast to a kit we saw released on the exact same day, which was the high-grade Gundam EX from Netflix's series. One is just so absolutely super over-designed, tons of detail, loads of parts, lots of greebles, and this one right here, the Murasame Kai, is super simple to a degree. There's not much panel lining, it's big parts, it's over the top, and that head is beyond anime with its giant V-fin. So the first thing I thought was, I need to slap that head onto the Gundam EX's body, and when I did, damn does this work well. Now that right there, that is the Netflix show Gundam I want to see. Over the top V-fin, an absolute Gundam crown. Overall, this is a very nice looking kit. I've said it time and time again that this kinda looks like a Gundam even though it is not a Gundam. All of this particular mobile suit's ancestry is kind of visible on it. It is, of course, a Zeta derivative design, so it does have the wings, the legs, that little bit outcropping from the back that all come from that 1980s Gundam. On top of that, we've got everything from Seed that this would have been based on, all the way back to the M1 Astray and that red frame Astray color scheme. When it comes to the color accuracy in the actual kit itself, this is pretty much 95% there, or maybe 99% if you want to call it that. The only real kind of letdown is the eyes are just stickers, so there is no color separation in them, but then again, this is a standard high grade, that's not so bad. The only other color that is kind of missing is the venting in the lower legs is meant to be in red. Here it is just white, so you would have to paint that recessed area, and there is no stickers included for that. As for the actual stickers, we've got large stickers around the back of the wings. Not too bad. The only thing that really makes them obviously stickers is the fact that they do shine a little bit. But overall, it's a recessed part around back on the backpack where you don't really see it. The tips of the missiles, those are also meant to be in red too, but besides that, it is incredible. We've got great color separation and part separation in the torso, the red sections on the crotch, the rears of the arms, the backpack, everything is nicely color separated to that tiny little weapon section up on that rear fin area. The color separation is very, very nice, and when it comes to the panel lining, it's simple, but it is there. Some nice pinstripes here and there to fill in, and the only little kind of down point I would say is there is no stickers or anything like that inside of the box to throw that little emblem up on the very bare shoulder, but otherwise, absolutely gorgeous. If we get in pretty close, there is some nice little detailing, especially up on the head. All that you're seeing besides the eyes is color separated, so that yellow piece is color separated. The black sections, the vents on the side of the head, which look fantastic, color separated, and we do have those Vulcans or the CIWS weapons color separated in the sides of the head. When it comes to those model kit sins, which are nubs, seams, and mold lines, this kit really doesn't have much going on. All the seams are in very nice places, so you don't really see them. As for mold lines, there's nothing really all that critical. The only ones I really noticed are in the upper arms where you see them all the time, and that red section on the rear of the arms. As for those nub marks, I'm going to leave that up to yourself. I tried to make the videos as clear as possible so you can see everything yourself, but I don't see anything at all. I double snipped only, no sanding, no filing, no clean up. Overall, gorgeous. Anyway, there's the full 360 spin, so you can see absolutely everything about it for yourself. Again, really, really, really nice. Even lots of detail put into the backpack. There is a couple of color separation issues on the backpack, but besides that, it is great. Awesome angles, everything just rests perfectly when you pop it into a pose, and overall, also I will mention, it does stand up fine even with those big wings, but overall, beautiful, looks cool, and honestly has jumped to one of my favorite designs from Gundam Seed Freedom. So now jumping into a little bit of a size comparison, and there it is beside the RX-78-2, two of which the high grade and the real grade. So this is in and around standard high grade height, but that V-fin gives it a little bit extra. Next up beside the last two releases from Gundam Seed Freedom, and that of course is the Jewel Blitz and the Lightning Buster. A couple of more kits from the same anime, that is the high grade Rising Freedom and the high grade Immortal Justice, and beside two random kits just off the shelf, being the high-grade Barbatos and the high-grade Gundam Ariel. So now jumping into the accessories, and here's the high-grade Murasame Kai with absolutely everything that it comes with, which is the usual sword, board, and beam rifle loadout, and a little bit more. The sword, of course, is the pair of beam sabers, the board being that Zeta-style shield, and the beam rifle being the beam rifle. As for the extras, it is this right here, which is the frame for parts forming this into its flight form. But anyway, let's check everything out. First off, when it does come to the hands in here, these are your standard holding hands, nothing really new to see here at all, and there are no options. Next up, getting this winged beauty up into the air using the usual stand I use in these reviews, which is a hexagonal simple stand by Good Smile Company. Now, I will mention the butt flap on this kit is locked in place and does kind of get in the way of stands, at least this stand right here, so you can't really angle it back too much, which is a little bit of a shocker. So when it comes to the actual equipment, first up here we've got the beam sabers. Now there's two in here, but this particular mobile suit only has the one, so I'll only be looking at the one. These are your typical beam sabers. The beams in my box sadly did get bent. The handle does have a kind of lip either side, so that does make them a little bit more involved to attach than usual, but not a lot. You just pop off the hand, open it up sandwich style, throw this in, close it up, attach it back on, and there you go. Articulation here is quite nice, so you can get into good poses, including at the wrist, which is more than I expected. There it is in a pose, looking awesome. Again, just a little bit of a shame about that bent old beam. When these are not in use, just pop out the beam and these can attach onto either or side skirt, so you can give this two if you want to. It's just one of the side skirts is actually for using with the beam rifle. But anyway, this can rotate. It's pretty cool. The next weapon we have in here is the long-range weapon, which is the Honoi Kazuchi Beam Rifle. This high-energy beam rifle right here, this is quite simple. It's just about 4 or 5 pieces of grey. The sights on this on the sight section and the front of the barrel, these are just little green stickers. There are a couple of moving parts in here. We've got a side handle that flips out just like so. It's easy to attach in and out. And we do have a tucking in standard handle as well. This is because it's part of the transformation. Again, easy to get in, easy to get out. Everything here works as it should. When you need to get this into the hand, it just slides on into the hand just like so, and that right there is what it looks like in a pose. Again, I thought the articulation on this felt a little bit limited compared to some of the other Seed Freedom kits I've looked at so far, but I'm finding no limitations at all, and this is a joy to pose. Looks awesome too, speaks for itself. When the high-energy beam rifle is not in use, you just pop it out of the hand, collapse that handle in just like so, and this attaches onto the side skirting armor in exactly the same way as the beam rifle. Clips on like this, can rotate around so it doesn't get in the way, and this actually holds on better than I thought it would, considering it's just a peg into the side of the rifle. I give it a knocking around, didn't fall off, and it does look nice, and you can angle it nicely with the pose that it's in. So far, so good. So the last piece of equipment we have in here is the shield. This is extremely nice. The color separation on it is fantastic, matching the mobile suit itself. Red at the end, white in the middle. The rest of it is black. We do have these two little flap sections, which are on some joints. A little bit on the weak side. They can pop off sometimes, but not too bad. When you're attaching this onto the arm, you're using this little joint right here. It's a ball joint and a tab. So when you actually tab this into the side of the arm, the ball joint still gives you full rotation and a little bit of pivot in every direction to make sure you've always got this in the perfect position. It always looks good in a pose, and even if you've got it just standing in a regular old standing position, it's still absolutely fine. It never gets in the way and it holds on nice and tight. So when it comes to the articulation on the high-grade Murasame Kai, this is pretty decent. Now it does kind of well, kind of fall in the middle in a nice sort of place where there isn't too much range of motion, but at the same time it's super rock solid. So yeah, it is rock solid, it will not lose any poses. Most of the joints on this, like the neck, the arms are nice. The only kind of limitations I've found here and there is the shoulders can't reach up that far. The ab crunch here is very, very nice. To the front and back, side to side is good too. Side and front skirting can get out of the way very nicely. The back butt flap is locked in position, which does suck a little bit, because even though the kicks to the front are good, out to the back they're not great. Splits is pretty damn great. We've got the full 360 spin at the upper leg, nice knee bends, and the ankles are okay. When I actually throw this into the usual pose to test everything at once, again it is kind of the ankles, the hips, and the shoulders that could be doing a little bit better on this, but overall not too bad. When we throw the actual backpack into the equation, this is more of the same. It's nice, but not fantastic. We've got C-clips holding on the wings, so these can kind of pop if you flap them too much. This is them flapped one way all the way, flapped all the way the other way. I will mention there is no rotation or spin to these at all, so they're always pretty much lined up with the mobile suit itself. You can't make this look like a striker pack. We do have wings that move out and in ever so slightly, and that Zeta tail fin section, which moves up and down. So the Murasame Kai is a transforming mobile suit, but this is not a transforming kit. This is a parts former, and I have to admit, what you do get in the end works out incredibly well, and it's all the better off for it. As for how the transformation works, first off you need to disassemble the kit to some degree. The backpack comes off, you remove both the arms and the legs. When you remove the arms, you're actually taking them from the bicep down, not the shoulders as usual. Legs come off at the hips in the usual kind of place, and then finally the whole chest segment comes off like so. All of this you will be using, the torso and head you will not. Next up you get that little bit of a rack you would have built earlier on in the build. You add the arms in from underneath just like so, they lock in perfectly. The torso section attaches onto the top of this, again fitting perfectly. Grab the shield, you need to remove the little joint for the arm, you're not using that here. You've got a little section for storing it though underneath the rack, which is really nice, and then the shield section attaches onto a different joint a little further back. We now have an alternate crotch part in here, which is not off the original unit, which attaches in to lock everything into position. Next up you zetify those legs by bending them into a Z shape. The toes kick up and recess nicely into the legs. The legs then attach onto that rig that we're building up so far, nicely onto each side, and they hold on perfectly and line up nicely. Next up, speaking of lining up, you need to line up the backpack and add on these two little segments right here, which are a new addition for this segment. These are not coming from the body. The backpack then attaches onto this little frame section like so, and as you can see, it's actually coming together to look like a flight form now. Finally then you just need these side skirtings, and I will mention when you pop these side skirtings on, these are not the ones off the body either. These are duplicated on the runner, so it means you don't actually have to take anything off the body at all. Even though there are side, front, and rear skirtings on the finished flight form, they don't get harvested from the body, which is great. Finally then you need to attach on the weapons, which are the beam saber and the beam rifle, and this right here is what you get in the end. I am really impressed. This is a nice rock solid flight form, and although it is a little bit of a shame that it doesn't fully transform, I will take a rock solid parts formation any day over a janky transforming kit, and this just works out. This is also kind of cool, so if you did buy actually two of these kits, one to show as a robot, one to show as the flight form, you'll still have a whole shoulder, head, waist, and 80% of a torso you may be able to use for customs, which is cool. But yeah, that right there is it for the review, and the high-grade Murasame Kai is a platinum tier kit, definitely. I still haven't moved on to the new ranking system just yet, so this is classic platinum. Everything about this kit is great. There's a couple of little letdowns, but I could count them on a couple of fingers, really. So there are a couple of color inaccuracies, mainly down the legs not having the red. The articulation could be a little bit better at the shoulders and the waist, but it does work well for the transforming aspect, so I can't really complain either. So there really aren't many complaints. So yeah, aesthetically this is absolutely gorgeous, a beautiful looking Gundam, and one hell of a V-fin adorns that Gundam, or should I say, not Gundam head. When it comes to the accessories in here, you get pretty much all you'd want from this. The sword, board, and beam rifle is all here. The quality is fantastic, especially on the shield, and we do have that nice parts formation rack for using with it. When it comes to the articulation, it's rock solid. It will get most, especially aerial poses, you want out of it. As you can see, the poses just look great, but there are a couple of parts that could go a little bit further. When it does come to the transformation in the end, it is a parts formation, but it's a perfect parts formation, and the flight form that you do get is absolutely beautiful, but it does mean if you like moving it back and forth between both, you will need to keep the extra parts handy. But anyway, yeah, that right there is it. As usual, this video right here was sponsored by Hobbylink Japan, link is down there in the description. Thank you so much for watching, make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I will see you next time. Once again, I kind of finished this video right here without thanking each and every one of you guys for watching my videos. That makes absolutely everything on here possible. If you don't want to support more interesting videos or just to improve the overall quality of the channel, you can help out on the channel memberships and over on Patreon. Patreon is really what does fund any and all improvements quality-wise to this channel. So a special shout out to Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Joe, RG59061, ShadowWolf179, Van Fawn, and Scotty Thomas. Link to join the Patreon and the Discord down there in the description.